Okay. This motive renders their acts of no worth, right? Imam al-Ghazali, he's maybe being a bit harsh here, right? Because sometimes you may do an act that is tainted, but Allah still accepts it because he's the most merciful, right? And we have certain narrations to this effect. Imam al-Ghazali is just very, very strict, though, and very, very direct. And we need that, right? Imam al-Ghazali, he knows what he's doing. He's a doctor, and we're in good hands with Imam al-Ghazali as the spiritual doctor. But the reality is that a person's actions may be a little bit tainted, but this doesn't mean Allah rejects them outright, right? For example, the prayer or anything that we do, if it's tainted, then Allah will give you the reward for where your intention was good. Where the intention was bad, then it's sort of something that it's valuable, but there's a depreciation when there's something that taints it. You get it? So there's a depreciation when there's something that taints the action, right? So, and we all, of course, we have work to do in these regards in improving our prayers and why we pray, improving our fast and why we fast, improving our recitation of the Quran and why we do that, and being mindful. It's a process, right? So this is a struggle. It's a process, but this is our venture. This is the endeavor of being a human being and reforming the self and so on and so forth. So he continues, thus do we find in a narration, on the day of resurrection, it will be decreed that a martyr be taken to the fire. This is a scary one. Of course, we know that the martyrs, the shuhada, they have a very, very high station with Allah. But they will be amongst those martyrs will be taken to the fire. Allah will say, the martyr will say, oh Lord, I was martyred fighting in your path. Allah the Most High will proclaim, you wanted it to be praised that you were brave. It was said, and that was your reward. Right? And this may sound weird to us. It sounded weird to me when I first read these hadith. But then I did some more research. I read like the epic poems of the past, the poems about war and naval warfare and warfare from the past, or even not even so distant, maybe even nowadays. There are people who, there's a particular archetype of person out there, effectively. There's a particular type of person who wants to die on the battlefield to have his name celebrated throughout the ages, to be remembered throughout the ages. Right? If we ever watched the movie Forrest Gump, not to really cite movies, it's an important topic, but there's a Lieutenant Dan. I don't know if you guys ever watched that movie, the famous movie in the 90s. I'm a 90s kid. Anyway, so this Lieutenant Dan, he wanted to die on the battlefield, to basically have his name, to die like his forefathers before him, so that his name would be celebrated and he would sort of keep the tradition of dying on the battlefield, right? So that's an archetype of a person that wants to die on the battlefield for worldly gain, even if it's for your name to be celebrated. That people say he was brave, he died on the battlefield, we know him, and so on and so forth. Some people, that's a desire that they have. A lot of people, most of us are just afraid to die in general. Some people, they want to die because they want their name to be celebrated. That's a type of a person. So this is real, and we can read stories about that. People who want to die on the battlefield, so people would say he's brave. But this is a false reason, especially if you're a Muslim, that you should want the martyrdom for Allah's sake, that you're seeking out Allah's pleasure for doing this. Now, continuing on, so he says, so we finished the hadith. The same will happen with the scholar. This one is also scary. The same thing would happen with the scholar. Also the pilgrim to Mecca, the warrior, and the reciter of Quran, if they showed off with their deeds. So me, as a person presenting, if and I'm calling myself out here, if it's only to sound eloquent, to sound, big and bad, or, I know this and I know that, I know more than you. If this is my intention, I'm basically bringing myself to hellfire, and it's real. And there are many scholars and students of knowledge who fall into this. Being eloquent, being the top man, the top scholar, having the biggest turban, best clothes, being foremost and being the leader, right? If this is the intention that's there, that's an intention basically bringing a person to the hellfire. And it's real, this happens. Imam al-Ghazali, His books are written, directed for people like that, right? I seek Allah's forgiveness and also refuge from falling into this because it's real and I've seen it happen. It's something that it grips people. You know, there's a statement in English, what you're seeking out is really seeking you out. And if you keep on seeking that thing out, eventually it'll come, it'll grip you and it'll take control of you. So the people who do this ostentation, they don't realize that they're introducing into their hearts a virus that's something that can really, it's like a cancer that if not treated sooner than later can start to take over the entire spiritual self. And a person becomes a walking cancer. And maybe some of you, and these people are all over, you know, some of them are in the United States, some of them are overseas. I think it's more, there's more of a proliferation overseas because there are more, you know, people doing this for, you know, for bad intentions inside of religion. But you can find them. You can find them if you go overseas. It's very, very clear. You'll see these people, walking cancers, people who have no really care about really Islam or the Muslims, but they're wearing a turban. They have a nice jubba, nice thobe, and so on and so forth, right? So we seek Allah's refuge. Now, we continue. Okay, so he's going into a next section now. Let me see. Maybe best for us to stop here because the new section, it's also some topics that we have to focus on and dedicate some time to. So inshallah, we'll look to take some questions now. Sister Noor has written us some questions. Bismillah.